Yeah.
So let's say that it looks like this. Okay, that's fine. Just hypothetically.
Okay.
Then we're looking at this to this to this to that, and then out. If that's the path of least resistance, then it takes me 1, 2, 3, 4 jumps, and then the fifth jump is the end of the demo.
Yeah. Well, there's another layer to this. Like when we talked last time, I think the nodes pretty much changed according to what phase you were in this puzzle. Because there was a certain part in which pretty much you had like one last chance to go back on, and then that would mean that this node puzzle turns into like you can't go back to most of these. You only have like two options pretty much and stuff like that. So are we designing something that's like it's always going to look like this, or what we really need to do is like design a sequence of different node images for how far along they are?
What I'm attempting to do is put down a structure so that we can determine
Okay.
what the alternative pathways will look like and why they would exist.
Okay.
This first path exists because the capital has to get to Valley as quickly as possible every time.
Yeah.
It's going to take the path of least resistance.
Yeah.
Bryce 5, to answer your question, well, I'm Amadeus, just by the way. That's my handle. So I'm asking for clarification below you. If you're asking just in general how to program games, our programmer will be on later, and he can talk more about that. I'm more of like a design guy and less able to speak with any confidence about programming. Yeah, sorry. So yeah, if this is the path of least resistance, and of course we're just putting nodes down because we can,
Yeah.
and we know why this path exists, then how do we make another path over here that jumps between these points and makes sense within the narrative? That's our design question.
Yeah, and then what's interesting to strategize around too, right?
Right, exactly.
Well, I mean, I like this. I like this first like capital one because it actually looks like it would be a path
yeah.
within the map, so that's nice. I think that's got it going for it. Yeah, I think the alternative and the branching and like the choice that they have without this branch is the interesting part, because like I think it's kind of obvious what the capital path is like it's got the capital on it, and clearly you want to stay away from them at some point, but clearly it's going to be faster and more clear, and you're going to be more familiar, and blah blah blah. But
yeah, there's probably a unit here, maybe like a guy that's already spawned there when you.
Yeah, maybe there's a few guys on there or something, but
and they're capital guys, and it's clear that if you go this way, you're going to have to fight them immediately, which would motivate the player to try the side path at least.
Yeah. So I think in that respect, it would make more sense for whatever the other path is, for it to at least look less aggressive. Like we're offering them some kind of path of less assertiveness or something.
Yeah, that's what I would do too, for sure.
Yeah.
And even maybe suggest when you're in the Valley sequence that there are people who don't conform to the capital's expectations.
Yeah.
Of them.
Although I think at a certain point it would be fun to just offer them an equal part of fucking them over, in which like they have to make a political choice instead of a strategic choice, because it doesn't matter which path they take at some point. But maybe that's not fun. I don't know.
I think it's fine as long as you're giving the player information, like that makes them have a meaningful choice. Like,
yeah,
if I take this path, this is what's going to happen that's bad. If I take this path, then I fall afoul of this faction versus this one.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the it's the classic design problems. We don't want we want them to be on Rails a little bit because otherwise it doesn't make any sense and it's not that fun if everything's not on Rails, but we don't want everything to be on Rails because it's not that fun if everything is.
Right.
So where's the happy medium? I
think,
feel like at least somewhere like there's, I feel, yeah, so there's like right now it's a pretty much like a two-branch structure, and somewhere there should at least be like a pseudo third or a partial third,
right
because
here, maybe.
yeah, because right now the choice is really actually very black and white, right? You can jump back and forth, but like in general, you're really only being provided two kind of strategies. Do you go with the capital, or do you go with this unknown, and then do you want to jump back and forth between it? So it'd be interesting if we could offer them like a real unknown, or at least something less familiar to them.
Maybe over here.
Maybe, or maybe these nodes like in the middle between where you're putting the ones in the terrain and the one that's in the clear path could be like, we don't know what's here. Do you just want to like hide in the mountains kind of thing?
Yeah.
Do you want to just kind of like rough it like through a bunch of rocks and like shitty terrain and see if people can find you?
Interesting. Yeah, I think that'd be fine too, especially if it's like, we would have to figure out what you'd be encountering, and if we have the assets to develop something that's creature-like.
Yeah, that would be like beast encounters or some kind of buff or something like that. But
there's also the thing that we talked about before about a revealed path that the Lost Rider creates, or you can get trapped and forced to fight enemies by pathing incorrectly. There's like a surge mechanic where enemies start spawning on all capital nodes and traveling to adjacent nodes that are unoccupied.
Right, that has more to do with the story stuff. Like, I still think that's all a good idea. I just don't know what's going on yet. So, I don't know. I'm open to ideas if you want to talk about story stuff, but I don't have too much to commit because I've just been wrapping up D-Zone stuff.
By the way, I'm back.
Hi, John.
Hi.
Yeah, I'm back as well. I'm almost at full capacity, guys. I'm just finishing.
Okay.
Just finished my meal.
Well, we'll hop back over to watching you in a moment.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to do here is at least get like a preliminary path. For those on the stream and just in general, if anyone on the team is watching, if we can figure out what the player's decision-making process will be at each node, then we can make each decision meaningful, and we're going to have to assign narrative to each node.
Yeah.
In some way.
Well, in some way, yeah. So I think one thing that would be good is that we got rid of those middle nodes, at least in the beginning, because that makes the choice feel more decisive. Like they're stuck on that branch pretty much, and that's they have to deal with whatever choice they fucking made. And then
okay.
and then like, so there's like an act to it. So like, oh, okay, I have to know what I want to do, and then halfway through we give them the choice to actually jump back to the other branch if they want in some kind of middle node situation. So then they have a little bit more variety, and they're like, oh, okay, I can kind of build on what I've been doing, and I can't go back and change the way I started, but I might be able to figure out a way to change it now, kind of thing.
I think what we should do is we should make a chart, like a box chart, with each node being a box. And I don't know if you watched the Maniac Mansion design chat that I posted the other day.
No.
Okay. It probably
I mean, I know about Maniac Mansion, but
it probably isn't even necessary. Some of the information was cool, but it didn't really pertain too much to what we were doing. But,
okay.
What they did before they even really like started the game proper was they took all of the rooms that were going to be in the house, and they figured out how all of them connected. What I think we should do is take each node, name it whatever it's going to be, attach it to the narrative if it has to be attached to it, and then figure out what's going to happen there. Once we know that information, we'll know where secret paths are going to be revealed, where they're likely to lead to, and also have a better idea of how to structure this node pathing system. Instead of fitting it to the node pathing that we have, we determine what the node pathing is by
the mechanic.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That makes sense.
Okay.
I'm okay with that. I think that makes more sense to this than anyway.
Yeah.
Because right now we're just like
this could happen.
Should I put a dot here?
Right.
And I'm like, okay,
Right.
why not?
So
I like freckles. It's cool.
So in order to do that, what we're going to need to do is sit down and talk about the places that are there.
Yeah.
And that we can do a little bit later in the stream, but we need to create a list of places, essentially.
Yeah, and what we want play to be like and all that. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I can do that. I don't. Now I'm like, should I work on thoughts on C-Zone shit, or should I keep working on Justice shit? But I'm already in the middle of Justice shit, so.
We'll deal with that first, and then we'll flip over whenever.
Yeah, why do you gotta step away from Justice? You don't trust what he's doing?
Exactly.
I wasn't
about
stepping
truth and
away
justice.
from Justice.
It's too.
I'm pulling you like...
What an asshole.
You took one of your boots, David.
Yeah.
That's 50%.
I had to borrow it.
Okay, so Frank or Cody, we would love to see your screens, because your photoshoppings are so much better than what I can produce.
What have people been saying in chat?
People have just been talking about unity and commonalities between their projects and
Oh,
other
okay.
such things.
Yeah.
How close are we to taking a look at the storyboard stuff I was working on?
Probably after Frank finishes what he's been working on.
Okay.
For animating the house, and then we'll flip over to that. It's going to come in. Well, actually, it'll be when David and I start working on what we were just talking about: nodes and places and where they need to be and what's going to happen at them.
Okay.
So that'll be when David finishes the thing he's working on for Justice, and when Frank finishes his thing. Then we'll move to that. And I think that'll take up a lot of time.
Okay, I can share screen. If Cody's not up to sharing, I can share.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got I'm working on some stuff, but it's kind of messy looking right now.
Okay. So we'll do.
I'm sure what Frank's doing looks prettier.
I don't know about that, Cody.
All right, guys. Do you want me to flip a coin?
We'll just
Frank.
I just buried it out. I don't mind.
well, how about I'll share my screen and be like, this is what I'm doing. It'll take like maybe a minute, and then we will all see that, like, okay, let's go back over to Frank who's animating, and that's fun.
Well,
fun to look
we
at.
have we only have like 9 hours left, so
Yeah, true. there might be enough time for both
yeah.
at some point.
Okay,
I want to see your stuff.
Yeah,
Cody.
I do want to see what
Let's
Cody's
see what you
working
do.
on.
I mean, it's really not a whole lot of
Cody, stop it.
much.
Come on, you're gonna show us that.
Your work is beautiful, Cody.
This is like the student who always said that he did poor in the test, and then
So,
look at that.
All I'm doing right now is trying to get I'm using colors to kind of block in like depth and whatnot, and this right here, this section over here is kind of like a foreground cliff face. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, it reads well. It reads well.
Okay. Oh, let me smash some of these things down. Okay.
Smash it.
So yeah, so there's the foreground, and this is going to be a pathway. This is kind of like the open area where we can have a plaza, and it's kind of instead of looking straight at, like, instead of looking horizontally or at a horizontal valley, we're kind of looking into a valley, but it's like curving through the mountainside.
Okay.
So, and this face right here, this section is probably where I was thinking, like, right here is where we can put the palace or bakery. It's like right in the middle. Huh?
How close are we going to be to the structures? Like, are we a mile away from the structures? Are we 500 feet away?
This is actual pixels, and that blob is that is like a 2-story building, I guess.
Okay.
But
like,
we're actually.
Is this the camera angle for like the actual Valley City, for the D zone that you're working on?
Yeah, it's the it is a version of what we were talking about, where you're not looking down into Valley, you're more of like in Valley, looking at Valley.
Okay. So
So
I like it.
Frank, can we, Cody? I want you to see something because I'm going to ask you a question based on it. Frank, can you
Okay.
switch back to the animation you're working on? Feel free to hijack the stream. Okay, Cody, how big would that house be in the image you're working on?
oh, 1 second. Which one? Like the whole image, the whole thing?
The whole thing.